Princess Valeth had heard stories about Earth her entire life. Her teachers called it a death world. Her mother, the great Queen Cythera, had forbidden any Zerothi ship from going near it. The planet was dangerous, they said. The gravity would crush your bones. The weather would tear you apart. And the creatures that lived there were the most violent beings in the known galaxy. Humans, they called them. Monsters with soft skin and hard hearts. Predators who never stopped hunting, never stopped fighting, never stopped evolving. The Zerothi Empire had watched them for 500 years. And in that time, they had seen humans do terrible things to each other. Wars that killed millions. Weapons that could burn entire cities. Violence that seemed to have no end and no purpose. Stay away from Earth, the Empire warned. Nothing good lives there. So when Veleth's royal transport was hit by an asteroid storm and crashed on the forbidden blue planet, she knew she was going to die. Not from the crash. She had survived that, though her body was broken and bleeding. No, she would die because a human would find her. And humans destroyed everything they touched. She crawled from the wreckage and collapsed in a field of green plants. Her bioluminescent skin flickered with distress signals, purple and red lights dancing beneath her pale flesh. Pain burned through her body. 3 of her ribs were broken. Her leg was twisted at a wrong angle. Blue blood pooled beneath her. The sky above was a strange color. Not the soft lavender of home, but a bright and aggressive blue. The sun was too bright, too hot, and the gravity pressed down on her like a giant hand, making every breath a struggle. This world wanted to kill her. She could feel it. She heard footsteps approaching. Heavy footsteps. Human footsteps. Valeth closed her eyes and waited for death. But death did not come. Instead, she felt gentle hands lifting her head. She opened her eyes and saw a face looking down at her. A human face. It was strange and flat, with small eyes the color of a forest and skin like brown earth. The human was male, she realized. Large and muscular, with scars on his arms and a worried expression on his face. He spoke to her. The words were rough and unfamiliar, nothing like the musical language of her people. But then he paused, took a breath, and tried again. This time he spoke in broken Galactic Common, the trade language of the Empire. ... Hurt? Help. Yes. Valeth stared at him. How did this human know her language? Where had he learned it? And why was he offering to help instead of killing her? She tried to speak, but only a pained whisper came out. The human nodded, as if he understood. He removed his outer garment and wrapped it around her shivering body. Then, with careful movements, he lifted her from the ground. She gasped at the ease with which he carried her. She was not small by Zerothi standards, yet this human held her like she weighed nothing at all. He carried her across the field and into a strange metal structure. A home, she realized. A human home. Inside, there were soft surfaces to sit on, and machines she did not recognize. The human placed her on one of the soft surfaces and began gathering supplies. For the next hour, he worked on her wounds. His hands were rough, but gentle. He cleaned her cuts with a liquid that stung. He wrapped her ribs with white cloth. He created a support structure for her broken leg using pieces of metal and more cloth. The entire time, he spoke to her in his broken Galactic Common, telling her what he was doing, asking if she was okay. "My name," he said at one point, touching his chest. "Marcus. Marcus Cole." "Valeth," she whispered back. She did not tell him she was a princess. She did not know if humans understood such things. Marcus smiled. It was a strange expression, showing his teeth, but somehow she knew it meant he was happy. "Valeth," he repeated. "Pretty name." Over the following days, Valeth learned more about her rescuer. Marcus Cole was a soldier, or he had been once. He lived alone in this remote place, far from other humans. He had learned Galactic Common by listening to signals from space, teaching himself word by word over many years. He had always believed other life existed among the stars. He had always hoped to meet it. "You are not afraid of me?" Valeth asked him one night. They were sitting together, eating food he had prepared. It was strange food, but not unpleasant. Marcus shook his head. Why would I be afraid? My people say humans fear everything different, that you attack what you do not understand. Sad look crossed his face. Some humans do, not all. I have seen enough fighting. I do not want more. As the weeks passed, Valeth grew stronger. Marcus repaired her ship's emergency beacon, working through the night to understand technology far beyond his world. He asked her questions about the stars, about her people, about the Empire. She answered as best she could, though she left out the part about being royalty. In return, she asked him about Earth. He told her about the oceans, vast bodies of water that covered most of the planet. He told her about the mountains, so tall they touched the clouds. He told her about the animals, creatures of every shape and size, all fighting to survive. And he told her about humans, the good and the bad, the beauty and the horror. Your world is terrifying, she told him honestly. Wes, he agreed. But it made us strong. We learned to survive anything, to adapt, to keep going even when everything tries to kill us. He looked at her with those strange green eyes. Maybe that is not such a bad thing. 3 months after her crash, Valeth's beacon finally reached her people. A rescue ship was coming. She should have been relieved. She should have been eager to return to her soft and safe world. Instead, she felt only sadness. On her last night on Earth, she stood outside Marcus's home and looked up at the stars. He stood beside her, close but not touching. The silence between them was comfortable, like a warm blanket. Come with me, she said suddenly. The words surprised her. She had not planned to say them. But once they were out, she knew they were right. Marcus turned to look at her. What? Come with me. To my world? To the stars? She faced him, her skin glowing soft blue with emotion. I do not want to leave you behind. He was quiet for a long time. She could see him thinking, weighing the choice. Leave everything he knew. Go to a place where his kind was hated and feared. Risk everything for a woman he had known for only 3 months. Okay, he said. Valeth blinked. Okay, just like that? Marcus smiled his strange human smile. I have been waiting my whole life for the stars, and I have never met anyone like you. Took her hand in his. I will follow you anywhere. The next morning, when the Zarithi rescue ship descended from the clouds, 2 figures walked up the boarding ramp together. The crew stared in horror at the alien creature their princess had brought with her. They reached for weapons. They shouted warnings. But Valeth raised her hand and spoke with all the authority of her royal blood. This is Marcus Cole. He saved my life. He is under my protection. Her eyes blazed with a fire none of them had ever seen before. Anyone who harms him will answer to me. The crew backed away. The weapons lowered, and Marcus Cole, a simple human soldier from a forbidden death world, took his first step into the stars. 5 years passed like a beautiful dream. Valeth had taken Marcus to the outer provinces of the Empire. Far from the great cities and the watching eyes of the court, there, on a small moon covered in silver forests and crystal lakes, they built a life together. A secret life. A happy life. They married in the old way, with ancient words spoken under 3 moons. The ceremony was forbidden. A princess of the blood should never bind herself to an alien, especially not a human. But Valeth did not care about rules anymore. She cared only about the man who had saved her, who had left everything behind to follow her into the unknown. Marcus spent those 5 years learning. He studied the Zarithi language until he spoke it perfectly. He read their history, their poetry, their laws. He trained in their martial arts, though he found them too gentle and too slow. When his Zarithi teachers praised his skill, he only smiled. They did not know that he was holding back. They did not know what a human soldier was truly capable of. In the evenings, he and Valeth would walk through the silver forests together. She would tell him about the politics of the Empire, the great houses, and their endless games for power. He would tell her about Earth, about his childhood in a place called Montana, about the wars he had fought and the friends he had lost. Do you miss it? She asked him once. Your home world? Marcus thought about it for a long time. I miss the sky sometimes. The blue was different from anywhere else. And I miss the food. He laughed. But home is not a place. Home is a person. You are my home now. Valeth had cried at those words. Her people rarely cried, but humans had taught her that tears were not weakness. Sometimes they were the strongest thing a person could show. They were happy. They were safe. They believed they could stay hidden forever, but empires do not let. Princesses disappear. The message arrived on a cold morning. Valeth was tending to her garden, a small patch of earth plants that Marcus had somehow acquired for her. Tomatoes and roses and something called basil. She loved watching them grow, these stubborn little things from a death world. A servant approached with fear in his eyes. He held a communication device, bearing the royal seal. Valeth knew before she even read it. Something terrible had happened. Her sister was dead. Princess Kirith, second in line to the throne, had been killed in her own chambers. Poison, the message. Said no witnesses, no suspects. The investigation was ongoing, but everyone knew the truth. Someone in the great court had murdered a princess of the blood, and now Valeth. As the only remaining heir was summoned to the throne world, she found Marcus in their training room, moving through combat forms with deadly grace. Even after 5 years, she was still amazed by how he moved. Zerathi warriors were elegant and precise. Marcus was something else entirely. He was efficient, brutal. Every movement designed to end a fight as quickly as possible. I have to go back, she told him. Marcus stopped his training. He looked at her, reading her face the way he had learned to do. Kirith? Valeth nodded. She could not speak. Her throat was too tight. He crossed the room and took her in his arms. She let herself be held, let herself feel small and safe for just a moment. Then she pushed back and looked into his eyes. The court is dangerous. Whoever killed my sister will try to kill me too. You should stay here, where it is safe. Marcus laughed. It was a short, hard sound. No, Marcus, listen to me. If they discover what you are, they will execute you. Humans are forbidden in the core systems. The punishment is death. Then they will have to kill me. His voice was calm and certain. I made a promise to protect you. I do not break my promises. Valeth wanted to argue, but she knew it was useless. She had learned many things about humans over the years. One of the most important was this. When they decided to protect something, nothing in the universe could stop them. She had special armor made for him. Black as the void between stars, covering him from head to toe, hiding his human features. The helmet had a dark visor that showed nothing of his face. He looked like a shadow come to life. If anyone asks, she told him, you are my personal guard. A warrior from the outer provinces. Do not speak unless you must. Do not remove your helmet, and whatever happens, do not show them what you truly are. Marcus checked his weapons. A blade at his hip, a small energy pistol hidden in his boot, emergency supplies in his belt. And if someone threatens you, Valeth hesitated. Then, do what you must. That dangerous smile crossed his face. The smile of a predator who had been pretending to be tame. I was hoping you would say that. Their ship arrived at the throne world 3 days later. Valeth had not seen it in over 10 years, and its beauty still took her breath away. The planet was a jewel of the galaxy. Floating cities rose into a lavender sky. Rivers of light flowed between crystal towers. Billions of Zerathi lived here, in perfect comfort, in perfect safety. Marcus stood beside her at the viewing window. She could not see his face through the helmet, but she could feel his tension. It is beautiful, she said. It is soft, he replied quietly. No defenses, no walls. These people have forgotten what danger feels like. She wanted to argue, but she could not. He was right. The Zerathi had lived in peace for 10,000 years. They had forgotten that the universe was not always kind. The landing pad was crowded with nobles and servants, all waiting to greet the returned princess. Valeth walked among them with her head high, accepting their hollow words of sympathy. Everyone smiled. Everyone lead. Somewhere in this crowd was the person who had killed her sister. An old noble approached her. Duke Voreth, one of her mother's closest advisors. His skin glowed a sickly yellow, a sign of age and too much power. His smile did not reach his eyes. Princess Valeth, how wonderful to see you again. And who is this impressive figure? He was looking at Marcus. Everyone was looking at Marcus. The black-armored warrior stood out among the soft robes and gentle lights of the Zerathi court. My personal guard, Valeth said smoothly. A gift from the outer provinces. Indeed. Voreth's eyes narrowed. He seems... different. What province does he come from? Marcus said nothing. He stood perfectly still, a statue of violence in a garden of flowers. Valeth smiled. He comes from a place where warriors are still warriors. I trust him with my life. Voreth's fake smile flickered. Just for a moment, something dark passed across his face. Then it was gone, hidden behind the mask of politics. How fortunate for you, he said. These are dangerous times. One can never be too careful. He walked away, but Valeth saw Marcus watching him go. Even through the helmet, she could feel the intensity of his gaze. That one, Marcus said quietly, so only she could hear. He smells like death, Valeth shivered. On his world, Marcus had been trained to hunt, to kill, to survive. She'd almost forgotten what that meant, but she was about to remember. The great court of the Zerathi Empire was a place of beauty and poison. Valeth had grown up here. Walking these crystal halls, attending these grand ceremonies, she knew every smile was a weapon. Every kind word was a test. The nobles of the empire did not fight with swords. They fought with whispers and alliances, with secrets and lies. Blood was rarely spilled. Instead, reputations were destroyed, families were ruined, and sometimes, when necessary, people simply disappeared. Her sister had not disappeared. She had been murdered in her own bed. In the 3 days since her arrival, Valeth had learned much. Kirith had been pushing for reforms, trying to open the empire to the outer galaxy. She believed the Zerathi had become too isolated, too soft, too afraid of change. Many powerful nobles had disagreed with her. Any of them could have ordered her death. Marcus observed everything. He attended every meeting, standing silent behind Valeth, like a shadow in armor. The nobles pretended to ignore him, but she could see their nervousness. They were not used to warriors. Real warriors. They did not understand the threat that stood among them. They move like prey, Marcus told her one night in their private chambers. They have no awareness of danger. They do not check corners. They do not watch doorways. A child from my world would be more careful. They have never needed to be careful, Valeth said. The Empire has been at peace for 10,000 years. Peace makes you weak, and weak things get eaten. She wanted to disagree, but recent events made that impossible. Her sister had been weak, and someone had indeed eaten her. The great feast was held on their 4th night at court. All the noble houses gathered in the Hall of Stars, a massive chamber with a ceiling that showed the actual sky above. Thousands of Zerathi, in their finest robes, eating delicate foods, drinking sweet wines. Pretending that a princess had not just been murdered among them, Valeth wore a gown of deep blue, the color of mourning. Marcus stood behind her chair, unmoving, unspeaking. The other nobles kept glancing at him. They had heard rumors now. Stories about the strange warrior from the outer provinces. Some said he was a machine. Others said he was deformed, hiding his ugliness behind the black helmet. None of them guessed the truth. Duke Voreth approached their table midway through the feast. He had been drinking, his movements less controlled than usual. His eyes were bright with something that might have been confidence or might have been madness. Princess Valeth, he said loudly, making sure others could hear. I hope you're enjoying the feast. I know how difficult these times must be for you. Thank you, Duke Voreth. Your concern is touching, of course. We are all concerned. His smile sharpened, especially about your... companion. The other houses are curious. It is unusual for a princess to bring an armed warrior into the Hall of Stars. One might almost think you were expecting trouble. One might almost think I had reason to, Valeth replied coolly. My sister was killed in a place she thought was safe. I do not intend to make the same mistake. Voreth's eyes flickered with something dangerous. Are you suggesting that someone here might wish you harm? That is a serious accusation. I am suggesting nothing. I am simply being careful. Careful. Voreth laughed, but there was no humor in it. Yes, I suppose you learned caution during your years of hiding in the outer provinces. Tell me, princess, what else did you learn out there? What sort of ... creatures did you meet? The emphasis on creatures made Vileth's blood run cold. He knew something. Maybe not everything, but something. Marcus stepped forward. It was a small movement, barely noticeable, but Voreth's eyes went wide. For the first time, the Duke seemed to realize that the black-armored figure was not just a decoration. It was a threat. My guard does not appreciate insults, Valeth said softly. Neither do I. I meant no insult. But Vorath was sweating now. His bioluminescent skin flickered with stress colors. I was merely curious. We all are. Perhaps your guardian would like to remove his helmet. Let us see the face of this magnificent warrior. No, no. Voreth's confidence was returning. He sensed weakness. What is he hiding, I wonder? What secret is so terrible that he cannot show his face among civilized people? Other nobles were watching now. The room had grown quiet. This was how it worked in the court. Challenges were made in public where everyone could see. Weakness was exposed and exploited. It was happening to Valeth now, and she had no way to stop it. Perhaps Voreth continued, his voice carrying across the hall. Your guardian is not from the outer provinces at all. Perhaps he is something else entirely. Something forbidden. Be careful, Duke. Gavilas's voice was ice. You are walking a dangerous path, am I? I think the court deserves to know what you have brought among us. I think we have a right to see what kind of creature the princess keeps as a pet. He reached toward Marcus's helmet. What happened next was too fast for most Zerathi eyes to follow. Marcus caught Voreth's wrist. The grip was precise, hitting nerve points that the Zerathi had long forgotten existed. Voreth screamed and fell to his knees, his entire arm paralyzed. Marcus did not release him. He held the Duke there, kneeling like a servant, like a prisoner. The hall exploded into chaos. Guards rushed forward, drawing ceremonial weapons they barely knew how to use. Nobles screamed and fled, but none of them approached. None of them dared to face the black-armored figure, who had just brought one of the most powerful men in the Empire to his knees with a single touch. Release him. Someone shouted, Release him immediately. Marcus looked at Valeth. Through his helmet, she could feel him asking the question. What do you want me to do? She could end it here. Tell him to let go. Apologize. Make excuses. Go back to hiding, back to lying, back to being afraid, or she could stop running. Valeth stood. She walked to where Marcus held the whimpering Duke. She looked down at Voreth with all the contempt he deserved. Then she turned to face the watching court.
I'm my husband,
she announced, her voice ringing through the sudden silence, is not from the outer provinces. She reached up and removed Marcus's helmet. The gasps that followed were like a physical wave. Marcus stood, revealed, his alien face exposed for all to see. Brown skin. Green eyes. Flat features. Human features. He is from a world you have declared forbidden, Valeth continued. He is from Earth. He is human, and he is the one I chose to spend my life with. The chaos that erupted was unlike anything the court had seen in generations. Nobles shouted in horror. Some fainted. Guards surrounded them with weapons raised but did not attack. No one knew what to do. Nothing like this had ever happened before, but Valeth noticed something in the madness. She saw Duke Voreth's face, and what she saw there was not surprise, it was recognition. He had known. Somehow he had already known what Marcus was. This entire confrontation had been planned, designed to expose her secret in the most damaging way possible. But the plan had failed, because Voreth had expected her to be ashamed. He had expected her to deny, to beg, to crumble. He had not expected her to claim. her human husband with pride, and he certainly had not expected Marcus to smile at the surrounding guards like a wolf smiles at sheep, and say in perfect Xerathi, "I would not recommend attacking. This will not end the way you think." The guards hesitated. They had seen what he did to the Duke. They had seen how fast he moved. And now, looking into those alien eyes, they saw something they had never encountered before. A predator. A real predator. From a world where death was constant and survival was earned every single day, one by one. The weapons lowered, and Princess Valeth, standing beside her human husband in the center of the chaos, felt something she had not felt in years. She felt hope. The Queen's private throne room was not what Marcus had expected. He had imagined something grand, something overwhelming, designed to make visitors feel small. Instead, the room was almost simple. Soft light filtered through crystal walls. Plants grew in careful arrangements. A single throne sat at the far end, and on it sat the most powerful being in the Xerathi Empire. Queen Cythera was ancient. Marcus could see it in the way she held herself, in the depth of her eyes, in the patterns of light that moved beneath her skin. She had lived for 3,000 years, ruling an empire that stretched across 1,000 worlds. She had seen civilizations rise and fall. She had outlived enemies and allies alike. And now she was looking at him. Guards had brought them. Here, after the chaos in the Great Hall, Valeth walked beside him, her hand in his, refusing to be separated. They had expected imprisonment, execution, something terrible. Instead, they had been taken to the Queen. The doors closed behind them. They were alone. "Come closer," Cythera said. Her voice was soft but carried the weight of absolute authority. They approached the throne. Marcus kept his eyes on the Queen, watching for any sign of threat. But what he saw confused him. There was no anger in her face, no fear. If anything, she looked ... relieved. "Who is that?" the Queen asked, her ancient eyes fixed on Marcus. Valeth lifted her chin. "The human I married?" The words hung in the air. Marcus tensed, waiting for the explosion of royal fury instead. Queen Cythera laughed. It was a genuine laugh, full of surprise, and something that sounded almost like joy. She rose from her throne and walked toward them, moving with a grace that defied her age. Up close, Marcus could see the markings on her skin, the signs of power in time. She was terrifying and beautiful and completely unpredictable. Finally, she breathed. "Someone in this rotting court with actual teeth?" Marcus blinked. "Your Majesty, do you know how long I have waited?" The Queen circled them, examining Marcus like he was a work of art. 3,000 years I have ruled this empire. 3,000 years I have watched my people grow soft and weak and afraid. They have forgotten what made us great. They have forgotten how to fight, how to struggle, how to survive. And now, finally, my daughter brings me the answer I have been searching for." Valeth shook her head. "I do not understand. Of course you do not. None of you understand." Cythera returned to her throne. "I have watched Earth for 500 years. I was the one who declared it forbidden. Do you know why? Because humans are dangerous," Valeth said. "Because humans are magnificent." Marcus felt the world shift beneath him. Whatever he had expected, it was not this. The Queen's eyes locked onto his. "I have studied your kind, human. I have watched you crawl out of your caves and reach for the stars. I have seen you survive ice ages and plagues and wars that should have destroyed you. Your world tried to kill you every day for 1,000,000 years, and you just kept going. You kept fighting. You kept evolving." She leaned forward. "You are everything my people have forgotten how to be. Then why hide us away?" Marcus asked. "Why make us forbidden?" "Because I was afraid. Not of humans, but of what would happen when my soft, peaceful empire finally encountered something it could not buy or negotiate or ignore. I looked at humanity and saw our future, a future of conflict and challenge and growth. I knew we were not ready. So I hid you away, hoping that someday my people would remember their strength." She shook her head, suddenly looking every year of her 3,000 years of age. But they did not remember. They grew weaker, softer, and now the vultures have come to pick the bones. Duke Vorith, Valeth said, only the face. Behind him are a dozen great houses, all united in fear and greed. They killed your sister because she wanted to open the empire, to let in change and growth. They will kill you for the same reason. And then they will kill me and close the borders forever, and my people will wither in their perfect paradise until nothing is left but dust. Marcus understood now. This was not an interrogation. This was a plea for help. You need a weapon, he said. I need a warrior, Cythera corrected. I need someone who remembers what it means to fight for something. My guards are decorations. My soldiers have not seen real combat in 10 generations. But you. She studied his scarred hands, his watchful eyes, his predator stance. You have fought. You have killed. You have survived things that would break my best soldiers like glass. I am one man. One human. On a world with half the gravity you were born to, against enemies who have forgotten what real violence looks like. The queen smiled, and it was not a gentle smile. I think you are more than enough. Valeth stepped forward. Mother, you cannot ask this of him. It is not his fight. It became his fight the moment he married into my family. Cythera's voice hardened. He is a prince of the empire now, whether the court accepts it or not. And princes have duties. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. He thought about Earth, about the wars he had fought, about the promises he had made to himself when he left it all behind. He had wanted peace. He had wanted to be done with violence, but he had also made a promise to Valeth, to protect her, to keep her safe, and he could not keep that promise while assassins walked free and tyrants plotted in the shadows. Tell me about Vorith, he said finally. Tell me about his allies, his plans, his weaknesses. Tell me everything. I knew you would understand. For the next 3 hours the queen spoke and Marcus listened. He learned about the conspiracy, about the noble houses that supported it, about the army Vorith had been secretly building for decades. He learned about the assassins who had killed Kirith, bred and trained in hidden facilities. He learned about the coup plan for the Festival of Light, only 6 days away. It was a perfect plan. Vorith and his allies controlled enough of the military and the bureaucracy to make a swift takeover possible. The queen would be captured, the succession laws would be changed, and the empire would close itself off from the galaxy forever. They had planned for everything, except for him. Yes. 6 days, Marcus said when the queen finished. That is not much time. Can you stop them? He thought about the numbers, the terrain, the enemy's strengths and weaknesses. He ran scenarios in his head, the same way he had done 100 times before on Earth. The odds were bad. Any sane person would call them impossible. But Marcus was not sane. He was human. I will need access to your security systems, he said. Maps of the palace, lists of Vorith's known allies. And I will need to train your guards, the ones who are still loyal. Not much. Training, just enough to be useful. You will have everything you need. Marcus looked at Valeth. She was watching him with fear and love and something that looked like awe. He remembered the first time he had seen her. Broken and bleeding in that field on Earth, he had promised himself then that he would never let anything hurt her. He intended to keep that promise. Then we should get started, he said. We have a lot of work to do. Queen Cythera rose and extended her hand in the traditional gesture of alliance. Marcus took it, feeling the cool smoothness of her ancient skin. Welcome to the war, human, she said. Let us see what a Deathworld soldier can do, Marcus smiled. And somewhere deep inside him, the predator that had slept for 5 years finally opened its eyes. The coup began at midnight. Exactly as Marcus had predicted, 10,000 soldiers poured through the palace gates. They wore the colors of House Varath and a dozen allied houses, their armor gleaming in the soft light of the 3 moons. Behind them came the assassins. Shadowbred killers designed for one purpose, to end the royal bloodline. Duke. Vorath watched from his command post with satisfaction. 100 years of planning was finally coming to fruition. By dawn, he would be regent. By next week, he would dissolve the old laws and crown himself emperor. The Zerothi would finally have the strong leadership they deserved. Any resistance? He asked his general. None, my lord. The palace guards have surrendered or fled. The queen's chambers are surrounded. Victory is assured. Vorath smiled. Everything was going according to plan. Then the lights went out. It happened all at once, plunging the entire palace into darkness. Emergency systems tried to activate but failed. Communications went dead. The soldiers stopped their advance, confused and suddenly afraid in the darkness. Something moved. The first screams came from the eastern wing. Soldiers who had been guarding a minor corridor simply vanished. Their companions found only empty armor and blood on the walls. No bodies, no explanation. More screams from the western wing. Then the south, then the north. Something was hunting them. Vorath's general ran into the command post, his face pale with terror. My lord, we have a problem. Something is attacking our forces. We have lost contact with entire squads. The men are panicking. One of the queen's weapons. Some kind of drone? No, my lord. The survivors say it is a person. Just one person. Moving through the dark like a ghost. Vorath felt a chill run down his spine. He remembered the human, the black-armored creature that had humiliated him at the feast. He had assumed it was just a freak, a pet from a primitive world. He had not considered it a threat. He was beginning to reconsider. Marcus moved through the palace like he had been born there. 6 days of preparation had given him everything he needed. He knew every corridor, every hidden passage, every blind spot in the security grid. He had disabled the power systems himself, plunging the soft Zerothi into the darkness they feared. And in the darkness, he was king. The soldiers were not bad fighters by their own standards. They had trained their whole lives. But they had trained for ceremonies and displays, for formal duels with rules and boundaries. They had never faced a predator who did not care about rules, who did not announce his attacks, who struck from shadows and vanished before they could respond. Marcus felt the familiar calm of combat settle over him. On Earth, he had fought in wars that would have broken these soft creatures in minutes. He had killed men who were trying to kill him. He had survived things that no Zerothi could imagine. And now, all of that experience was being unleashed in the halls of crystal and light. He did not enjoy the killing. He never had. But he was very, very good at it. Squad by squad, the invasion force crumbled. Soldiers fled their posts. Officers abandoned their commands. Rumors spread faster than truth. A demon had come to the palace. A monster from the forbidden worlds. Death itself in human form. Vorath watched his perfect coup collapse in real time. Half his army was gone. The other half was refusing to advance. And the human, that impossible human, was still out there. Still hunting? Fall back, he ordered. Everyone fall back to the throne room. We take the queen now before he can stop us. It was his last hope. If he could capture Cythera, he could use her as a hostage. Force negotiations. Salvage something from this disaster. His remaining forces gathered at the throne room doors. 500 soldiers, the best he had left. They formed a defensive perimeter and waited for the attack they knew was coming. The doors exploded. Inward, Marcus walked through the smoke like a figure from legend. His black armor was cracked and stained with blue blood. His helmet was gone, revealing his alien face, his predator eyes. In his hands he held a blade he had taken from one of the fallen assassins. The soldiers raised their weapons. Wait, Vorath called out. He stepped forward, trying to project confidence he did not feel. Let us be reasonable. You are one human. We are 500 warriors. Even you cannot defeat us all. Marcus tilted his head, considering. You are probably right, and surrender. Accept defeat. I will let you and the princess live. You can return to your hidden moon and pretend none of this happened. That is a generous offer. I am a generous man. So what do you say? Marcus smiled. It was not a human smile. Not really. It was the smile of a wolf who had cornered his prey. I say that you have never fought a human before. You have never faced something that evolved on a death world, that grew up fighting for every breath, that carries 1,000,000 years of survival instinct in its blood. He raised his blade. You think 500 is a lot? Where I come from, those are Tuesday numbers, he attacked. The battle lasted 11 minutes. Later, the survivors would struggle to describe what they had seen. The human moved like nothing they had ever encountered. He was faster than their eyes could follow. He was stronger than any Zerathi. He took wounds that would have killed 10 warriors and kept fighting. Every time they thought they had him trapped, he escaped. Every time they thought they had him outnumbered, he turned the numbers against them. He was not fighting like a warrior. He was fighting like a force of nature. When it was over, Marcus stood alone in the center of the throne room. Around him lay the remains of Voreth's army. Most were alive, merely wounded or unconscious. Marcus had killed only when necessary, but those who had died would haunt the Empire's nightmares for generations. Duke Voreth knelt before him, his ceremonial robes torn, his face streaked with tears. "What are you?" he whispered. Marcus crouched down to meet his eyes. "I am a husband. I am a protector. I am human." He grabbed the Duke's collar and pulled him close. "And I am the one who is going to make sure you pay for killing my wife's sister." The doors behind him opened. Queen Cythera walked in, followed by Valeth and the loyal guards Marcus had spent 6 days training. They stared at the destruction around them, at the impossible victory achieved by one man. "It is over," Marcus said, releasing Voreth. "He is yours." Cythera looked at the broken Duke, then at the human who had saved her empire. For a moment, she seemed lost for words. Then she laughed, the same genuine laugh from their first meeting. "I knew I made the right choice," she said. "Welcome to the family, son." The months that followed brought changes the Empire had not seen in 10,000 years. Duke Voreth was tried and executed for treason. His allied houses were stripped of power. The Queen began reforms that would have seemed impossible before, opening the Empire to the outer galaxy, establishing diplomatic contact with other species, including Earth. The humans were surprised to learn that aliens existed. They were even more surprised to learn that one of their own had saved an entire empire. But they adapted quickly, as humans always did. Within a year, the first human ambassadors arrived at the throne world. Within 5 years, trade agreements were signed. Within 10, first human students enrolled in Zerathi academies. The galaxy would never be the same. As for Marcus and Valeth, they returned to their quiet moon in the outer provinces. But they did not hide anymore. Their home became a meeting place for diplomats and scholars, for humans in Zerathi who wanted to learn from each other, and sometimes, when the 3 moons rose over the silver forests, they would walk together and talk about everything and nothing. 2 people from different worlds, bound by love and choice and the strange turns of fate. One evening, as they watched their first child sleeping in her crib, Valeth turned to her husband with wonder in her eyes. "They are calling you the demon of the throne world," she said. "My mother's generals want you to train the entire Imperial Guard. The humans want to make you an ambassador. Everyone wants a piece of you." Marcus laughed softly. "And what do you want?" She leaned into him, feeling his warmth, his strength, his impossibly human heart beating against her. "I want you to stay," she whispered. "Just like this. Forever." He kissed the top of her head. "I made a promise to follow you anywhere. I do not intend to break it."
Outside, the stars burned bright and eternal.
A galaxy full of wonders waited to be explored. New challenges, new adventures, new chances for humanity to prove what they could be. But that was a story for another day. For now, it was only this moment. This peace. This love that had crossed the void between stars and somewhere. In the great history of the Zerathi Empire, a new chapter had begun. A chapter about a princess who crashed on a forbidden world, a soldier who chose love over